My friends, thank you very much for tuning in for this episode. This is the Outdoor Gear Review. My name is Luke. Over the last 4 hours, the DOD Ichi one-pole tent has been out in the rain, and that's because I'm doing a second rain test with this tent. Sometime back, I did a waterproof test with a version of this tent that I purchased. With this test, DOD Outdoors sent me this tent. They felt that the tent that I had purchased was possibly a counterfeit, or maybe it had some sort of flaw and the seller knew of this flaw and sold it to me anyways. Because of that, we're out here with a second Ichi one-pole tent. This is going to be a very interesting episode, so let's go ahead, let's start at the beginning, and we'll get this waterproof test underway. My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. Here in a few minutes, I will be setting up the DOD Ichi one-pole tent. Let me explain to you all what's going on. To make a long story short, there is an episode that I recommend that you watch. It involves the DOD Outdoors Ichi one-pole tent and the response that I received from the company after I waterproof tested their product and it failed. This is a Tipi tent. It's a good sized tent. Fairly inexpensive. Initially, I was very impressed with it, but once I brought it out here to Lone Wolf Mountain to waterproof test it in a test night episode, the tent failed miserably. It leaked from at least 2 locations. One I can figure out, one I can't. One is a mystery. In the episode where I go over the DOD Outdoors response, in a nutshell, they said this. They believed that the version of the tent that I had was a counterfeit, or possibly like a factory second. It had some sort of quality control issue. They thought that the seller who sold it to me on eBay was basically selling a malicious product. They knew that it had some sort of problem and that's why it failed. And because of this, they sent me a brand new tent to waterproof test. That's what this episode is all about. Do I believe that the initial version was a counterfeit? Do I believe that it had some sort of like factory second issue, or maybe someone used it and abused it and then sold it to me? I do not. And I'll go into as why I don't think that here in just a little bit. For now, let's get the tent out. Let's go ahead and set it up. This is the brand new version straight from the factory, according to DOD Outdoors. As it stands right now, I do not have much time. There is rain on the way. In fact, the weather for this trip is going to be very, very interesting. Take a look at what is coming our way. We are that blue dot. We have lots of rain, maybe some storms, and potentially by tomorrow morning, snow. All right, let's get this set up real quick, everyone. Luckily, setting up this tent is very easy. As you all can see, folks, the Ichi one-pole tent has been set up. It's ready to go. It's been fully guyed out. It's ready for the weather. I set this up to the best of my memory the same way that the previous version was set up. Because of the previous issues that I had with this tent, I'm not going to set up my bedding. I'm not going to inflate my sleeping pad, get out the sleeping bag, nothing like that. And that's because this tent is going to have to prove itself to be waterproof before I go through that much effort. If I find that this tent leaks, we are heading to the cabin tonight. Let's take a second here and let's talk about the leaking that I had with the previous version of this tent. Again, one area I could not pinpoint. The other area, I knew exactly what had happened. So the area that I could tell where it was leaking from was from the zipper. There is a storm flap that goes over the zipper, and it's about 1 inch wide. That is not enough protection for that zipper. It was obvious that rain was making it behind that storm flap, through the zipper, down the walls, into the tent. Unfortunately, DOD Outdoors did not address this aspect in my discussions with them concerning the leaking of the previous version of this tent. Their main claims was that this was some sort of malicious sale. I have compared this tent to the previous version, the version that leaked. The Ichi tent that I purchased was not a counterfeit. In fact, it came from the exact same lot as this one. All of the production codes match. Every aspect is exactly the same, all the way down to the way that the seam tape has been applied. When it comes to the secondary source of leaking, I'm not entirely sure where that came from. With the rain event that I was testing the tent out in, it was not windy, really wasn't even breezy, so it's not like the rain went through the vent or anything like that. It made its way through a seam somewhere over here, I believe. After that test night episode went up where the tent failed, one of my viewers was in contact with DOD Outdoors through Facebook, and they asked them about this tent, whether or not it's waterproof. The company says it is, as long as you close that vent. As you can see here, the vent is closed, and also with the testing that I did, it was closed as well. Closed just as much as this one here. Anyways, folks, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. Let's see what happens. Again, if you have any questions, make sure to check out the comparison video. More than likely, your questions will be answered in that episode. Alright everyone, this is what's taking place. A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for this area. Winds at 60 miles an hour are coming. I was over there on top of that hill filming, got the alert and just took off. This is what the warning says, everyone. At 2:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, severe thunderstorms located along a line moving at 60 miles an hour. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Where? Right here. The winds are definitely picking up. You can hear it, everyone. There's a rush to the air. It's a combination of wind and heavy rain. I've got my rain pants on, rain jacket on. Let's see what happens. That is a white wall of heavy rain, and it's coming in right now, folks. As it stands, my friends, the storms are here. It's raining, it's windy, but so far so good. Nothing close to 60 miles an hour, thank God. I am dying to know whether or not this tent is leaking. All in all, the rain hasn't been that heavy, but it's been coming down. Here in a little bit, we'll check the radar and see when it's going to stop. We'll see if there's going to be a break in the weather, and then we'll check on the tent, if at all possible. This is what I wanted as far as the test goes for this tent. My plan was not to bring it out in a severe thunderstorm, but in a way that does prove a good point. If you're going to take a tent out into the wild, it needs to be able to protect you. It's super important. The same goes for even a campground, really. You set up your tent, you go to bed, a storm comes in during the night, there's not much you can do. That's why you need a good tent. And that's why I do these tests. It's all about supplying information so you can make the best decision for yourself. Based on what I'm seeing here on the radar, the severe thunderstorm basically was squashed by the mountains as it approached. That is a phenomenon that takes place from time to time. You have these strong storms, they come up against the mountains, and they just wring themselves out like a towel. So by the time they cross the mountains, there's not much left. So we're getting rain, we're getting some thunder, but this is not a severe thunderstorm. After 4 hours of rain, it has finally ceased. There's another line of showers and storms coming in. While we have this break, let's go ahead and check on this tent. Did it leak? Let's find out. Okay, the tent did leak. The tent leaked in the exact same locations. So we have moisture right here, and we have moisture over here. Maybe you can see it better that way. And again, over here. Let me summarize the situation here. After 4 hours of rain, the tent has leaked again in 2 locations. One is at the door, and again this goes back to that storm flap. It's too small to keep the rain out. And just as with the previous tent, there's an issue on the other side of the tent. There's something wrong here. There's some sort of defect. I'm not exactly sure what it is, and I'm not sure where the rain's coming in at. No matter what, everyone, this is 2 DOD tents, 1 pole tents. They leak. Plain and simple, they are not waterproof. For the rest of the night, I am done. It's going to continue raining. In the morning, we'll take a closer look at this tent. We'll look at the leaking, and we'll try to figure out what exactly has happened here. One issue we know of. The other issue, somewhat of a mystery. Not a whole lot has changed here. The floor is wet, and it's wet all over. This is what I wanted to look at. So we have this storm flap right here. We have the stitching right here. When you flip this over, take a look. There's no seam tape on this. There's nothing to stop water from coming through those stitches. It is possible that water's making its way through the vent. Maybe it's not seam taped either. I kind of doubt that though, because it's not leaking on the other side with the vent. That's why I'm thinking the issues with the storm flap, the stitching, and the lack of seam tape. In the end, that's only an educated guess. From this point on, it's up to DOD Outdoors to figure out what the issue is. I am going to recommend to the company that they pull this product from the market. There is an issue here. 2 different tents. It's possible that the issues were with a specific manufacturing run, or it could be a larger scale defect. Nonetheless, this product needs to be pulled from the market, as it simply cannot keep the users safe inside. A tent that's not waterproof is dangerous, and I have to admit, it's going to be interesting to see how the company responds to this. Ultimately, it's in their hands. This has been an interesting test, a second test of the DOD Outdoors Ichi one-pole tent. From this point forward, I am done with this tent unless the company does something to change it. Make sure to comment down below, share your thoughts. What do you all think about this tent? What do you all think about the failures? Again, this tent failed in the exact same locations, the exact same places as the version that I purchased. A special thank you goes out to DOD Outdoors for sending me this tent. Unfortunately, it failed just as the other did. Hopefully this episode will do some good. Hopefully the company will take this off of the market, redesign it, and we'll take a look at it together in the future. But everyone, I appreciate you all. I want to say strength and honor. Be good, be safe. I will see you all around again soon. Bye, folks.